I am Jiří Tomášek. I'm part of the Edge team, and I've been mostly working on the UI sides of things. And this is my colleague Nicolas.
I'm Nicolas Belouin, and I've been working mostly on, well, I'm engineering the Edge team, and I've been mostly working on the release process and the way we build all the artifacts for the SUSE Edge release. So here we are going to present to you how we basically make everything works for this, like how we release our artifacts and how we have them tested. So, and what is next for all of this?
Yeah, so the talk is the future of the stack validation and the release factory. This is basically a follow-up to this stack validation session which Fatih and Christian had yesterday. Today we're going to talk about the Edge product as an introduction. Then we're going to describe the stack validation, Edge factory, and then we're going to talk about the future and give some promises. Yeah, Nicola, go ahead.
Yeah, so very quickly, because there've been a lot of talk already presenting this in detail. So the Edge is everything that is not in a data center, basically, and that is computing. And so there's everything from near edge, like telco, that have almost data center-like environment, to things like far edge retail, things like this, and industrial edge, tiny edge, all of this. And basically, we have for SUSE Edge a lot of components that we have to tie together so that we can deliver this kind of experience for our customers to be able to deploy at the edge. So I'm not going to list all the components, it's just to show you that there's a lot of them, and that we need to have to select versions that work together for all of these components, and that we have to kind of test all of them together or only part of them. And it makes a kind of a big case matrix that grows whenever we add a new component, whenever we add a new use case. So this makes a lot to test, a lot of things to release, and a lot of versions to make work together. So.
Right, yeah, and as Nicola mentioned, the SUSE Edge product is composed of very large numbers of components, and we need to make sure that they work together and they are tied together and configured and verified together. So we need to employ a verification process, and this is something which we call validated designs, and the stack validation is basically an implementation of these validated designs. So we are working closely with the customers to identify the use cases which they are using on the edge, and we are providing the validation that all the components which are part of our product work seamlessly together, and there are no potential problems. And during the release process, we are running these validations, and we continuously check that there are no problems, and if there are any problems identified, we are getting them fixed, of course, and otherwise they are documented. And therefore, if you as a customer hit these problems, we can immediately act, and our support team is quickly able to resolve the problems because they have been mostly, usually already found out. Right, so again, the stack validation implements the SUSE Edge validated designs, and those then represent some common scenarios, architectures, and use cases. All right, so what's the current status of the stack validation? So currently we are dealing with provisioning, testing, and visualization. So we're basically verifying that we are capable of deploying various components in the SUSE Edge stack, and that they are supporting the use cases for customers. On top of these deployments, we are running additional tests which we are verifying the configuration and inner workings of the applications. And finally, we're publishing these, the information about releases, the tested scenarios, test runs, and results on the website. and this is publicly available. The website is ci.edge.suse.com. It's live. You can access it right now. This is where we are publishing all the stack validation results. So as I said, it's basically a public-facing centralized place for the results. Right now, it allows you to track the release status and health of each release of the Edge stack. Then it also is used as a top-level debugging tool. So basically, you can view some additional logs and stuff like that in the UI. It provides filtering capabilities, so the results can be filtered by release, by the test cadence, status, and individual scenarios which we are testing. So in the stack validation, we are working with several entities. The top-level test entity is a scenario, which is composed of pipelines, and each pipeline is composed of jobs which have logs, and this is how the test results are formed. And also the pipelines have complete information about the environment and infrastructure which has been used for running the test. I'm going to talk about all these further as I go through the UI. And we are also focusing on the user experience, so we make sure that the website is fast, responsive, it is mobile friendly, and it also has a dark mode which has been requested by our engineering team. Right, so this is what you get when you visit the website. At the top, you're basically greeted with the dashboard, which provides an overview of the release or releases. So at the top, there is a filtering section, which, as I said, allows you to filter by individual SUSE Edge version, by status, by cadence of running the tests, and you can also filter by individual scenario, so you can focus on a specific scenario if you're interested to see how it evolved over time. The data is shown on the two charts which we currently provide. The bar chart on the left is a combined scenario run status chart, which shows failure and success and failure ratio, and the pie chart on the right shows the same data, but only for last 24 hours. Right, so using the left navigation, you can navigate to the scenario runs page, which basically gives you the list of the scenarios as they have been chronologically run. The filtering at the top applies and is persisted across the page reloads. So basically, if you set any type of filtering on the dashboard page, it also gets applied to this list, which provides more or additional information. So clicking on individual scenarios is giving you a scenario detail. What I like to highlight here is that we have a human readable descriptions, which especially me, find quite valuable, as it basically gives you an overview of what that scenario is actually running and what functionality it is testing. And below that, you can see a list of pipelines which have been run as part of that scenario and their status. Clicking on each pipeline gives you, again, detail of the pipeline. So we are basically drilling down to the individual pipelines. And each pipeline has a list of jobs which are run as part of the pipeline. And also the other tabs are showing you the test results summary, also the variables which have been used for running the pipeline. And it also provides all the configuration and hardware configuration which has been used to running this pipeline. So you can see everything such as Edge image builder configuration and all this stuff which has been used to run this pipeline. And I think it can be also used as a source of truth for basically exploring the SUSE Edge products. Also on the jobs list, on the right, there's a log icon. So clicking on that gives you a log, basically a full log of running that specific job. So that's how far we are currently capable in the UI to drill down, and this gives you basically a full log of running that job, and this is the entry point for debugging, at least for our team right now. As I mentioned, we're also mobile friendly and feature dark mode. Right.
Yeah, so now I'm going to basically introduce our release workflow. So we named it Edge Factory Workflow, but well, it's just a name. And now, why do we do this? Well, simply enough, like any release process, it's to have something that works as flawlessly as possible, that reduces the risk of human error, the risk of, the risk of something wrong happening during release, that we don't want to release the wrong artifacts. And we want to be able to release fast so that we can meet the required standards when it comes to time to release, when a fix comes or a bug is fixed. And we want this to integrate with stack validation to ensure that every release is completely tested. So to do this, we decided to base our workflow on existing technologies. So we are using basically Git, where we have a Git repository that contains all the definitions of the artifacts. And we have obviously the main branch that is what we call the factory branch, and that basically contains what will be the next version of SUSE Edge. And whenever we branch from this, we create a new release branch that will contain what will be that, for example, the 3.2 version or the 3.3 version when we branch that version. And then we have open build service. So if you hear me talk about OBS here, it's open build service, not the streamer toolkit. So we use the SCM workflow, so about the same kind of workflow that is used by the Linux team for SLFO. And then we have some custom tooling to integrate with the stack validation, so that the stack validation run every time we have a new build, and that stack validation can run at every step of the release process. So this process is as is. So we start with the Git, then we have an OBS that we call factory project. So we have two branches, two projects per branches. So we have one that is the one where OBS builds, and we have another one that is a snapshot of this one that is used, like that is the currently being tested one. So we do this because we don't want to have something tested, and during the test, a new build breaks everything, and when the test is finished, we say, oh, this is cool, this is good to go, but it went broken in between. So the stack validation at this point, when we are at the factory level, we try to keep it lightweight. So this way we try to have something that goes fast. It's not there that we're going to do the performance testing or something like that, for example. And when it goes through that validation correctly, this is where we will basically import it into our internal OBS instance. And we do this like manually, well, semi-manually. We have some automation coming to make the request automatically, but we have some human validation there because, well, we don't want, we want to preserve the supply chain integrity, so we don't want someone to be able to introduce malicious changes within an automated request, and so we want human validation to what enters this internal build system. And then we have the exact same process here with the two projects, and we run full stack validation, and when full stack validation run is correct, then we are ready to release, and we have once again a human trigger to say re-release what is the current state. So this way we control when we do a release, and we control exactly what we have in a release, and we can be completely sure of what we have in a given release. And saying about what we know is in a given release, we have something that is called a release manifest, or basically it's a list of all the components. It was first made for lifecycle management. There was a talk during this SUSECon by Evo there that was pretty nice about all the lifecycle management, and that went in detail about the release manifest and how it's used. And so to be very lightweight about it, it's the list of all the components, their versions, and where to find them. So kind of a very coarse-grained bill of material in a way. And I present you this right now because it will be important for like the improvements we have for the factory workflow and the stack validation. So let's start with the improvements. So for the Edge Factory, what we envision as one of the most important points to improve or to generate that release manifest automatically. Currently, it's kind of human created from what we have in the to release. We have then someone getting through all the artifacts and changing the version in the release manifest file. So we want that to be automated. So this way we reduce the risk of error every time we do a release. We want to have something that watches all the projects we use, all the components we use, so that every time there's an upstream release of one of the components, we have a pull request coming in our factory repository, so that we can have less time in between a release and the time we start testing it. We want to have more reproducible artifacts, because currently we have some issues with some artifacts that are not reproducible, so that every time we do a build, we override those artifacts and we have to retest them completely, and we have them to be re-released even if there was not any significant change. So we have to work on reproducibility to reduce the amount of thing we have to test, and to also ensure, I would say, for our customer, a way to know that if there's something that changed, it's because there is an intentional change to it, and it's not like the build system that decided that to change a bit in the binary. And we want to integrate with the new and future stack validation tools, so that we have more integration and more automation around the stack validation and the tool they use. So if you were to the previous talk about the stack validation yesterday by Fatih and Christian, you heard something about using Pro or more Redfish integration and so on. So now, about the future of stack validation.
Yeah, so for the stack validation, we're looking at these 5 areas. So we would like to increase the scale. We would like to broaden the test coverage, increase the automation, which is related to the factory integration, do some further enhancements for the visualization, and we would like to also focus on collaboration. So increasing the scale. The stack validation is still under rapid development, and you can see that on the probably on the results when looking at the website. So we are really striving to improving the stability, and we are continuously optimizing everything and refactoring the architecture. So we are getting to the stable results and basically increasing the reliability of the tool. Related to this, we are constantly expanding the test metrics, right? So with this growth, the demands on the infrastructure for running the tests, and the test metrics obviously grows with the amount of features which are added to every new Edge Stack release. One of the features or one of the testing sites which we would like to focus on are tests for air-gapped downstream cluster, some Project Silva related tests, support for the multi-arc, and also focus on testing the telco solutions which Alberto presented in the previous presentation. So we would like to verify the optimizations and configurations on the stack validation for telco. We are also really trying to keep up with the customer feedback. So gathering the customer feedback from our support team and adjusting our use cases and tests or verifications to the customer demands. And also related to telco, we would like to introduce network performance testing and other tests such as workload tests and chaos testing. Increased automation, so this goes all around the whole release process, automating of the release process and connecting that with the Edge Factory. So basically we would like to get more data about the promotion pipeline being the phase where we are actually figuring out which versions are supposed to land in the new SUSE Edge release and forming that release, which result in automatic release manifest generation. And then this release manifest generated manifest is then taken by again by stack validation, which would automatically create a new pre-release and start running the tests on these frozen versions of components. Regarding the collaboration, we would definitely like to expand the stack validation adoption to other projects which may benefit from the infrastructure which we have in place and introduce new verifications and using our infrastructure. And also we would like to focus on customers where they could potentially self-host the stack validation and again provide their own custom tests to verify their workloads and also generate, for example, custom test reports to ensure that the tested functionality is available and functioning perfectly. Last but not least, we are also building the customer trust by validating in the open. You can see that we are publishing the results publicly and without any type of mending. Finally, enhancements in the visualization. So again, as I mentioned, since we are integrating the factory, we would like to somehow represent the promotion pipeline process and release pipeline processes in the UI, so you could see what is the status of the current, what the specific release is, in which phase the specific release in, and how it's being formed, and how the tests are improving, and so on. We would also like to restructure the UI in the way that, so right now you have basically one landing page where you have a common dashboard for all the releases. What we would like to do is introduce the Edge release as a top-level entity where you would have a navigation of individual releases, and for each release you would have a dedicated dashboard, so it's much easier to navigate between individual releases and getting more in depth of about each release. In addition to this, we would like to provide as much information about individual releases as possible. So we would include mentioned release manifest, all its components in this release manifest, and the changelogs for the components. Also, we would like to focus on being able to provide you an easy overview of the upgrade path. So let's say that you are on a given release version and you would like to upgrade to a certain version. So what is the path? What path do you need to take to get upgraded to this new release? Also, information such as software bills of materials and CV scans and stuff, all kinds of things like this. So they would be available in a single place. We would also like to reference the documentation from the single place and so on. So like there are quite a lot of options to which we could provide from this public place to get interested customers to specific place very easily. Of course, we would like to also expand on the display of the tested scenarios, optimize the results, and also include a feature which would allow you to export the test results or create a report for a specific scenario, which would give you a PDF format of basically the results which have, as the release have been tested. Yeah, another point is that, as I said, since we are going to introduce a dashboard per release, so there are some changes on the dashboard that needs to happen, and we would also like to further expand on charts which we are showing. The main goal is to make the user being able to really easily see what the status of things is, and if something is failing, then really easily get to basically starting to debug this problem and see the reasons. Part of this is to make the charts interactive. This is in the sense that, for example, if we have this bar chart which shows the success and failure per day, it would be really nice if we could make the transition between the scenarios run page and the dashboard very seamless, basically. So you click on the day in the chart, and you're immediately transferred to the scenario page, which only lists the charts for that given day. All right, so then basically accommodating the features which I mentioned previously on the stack validation. So embed the multiple product support. So that way the UI would become a central place for multiple products rather than having separate websites for several products. And also the user experience improvements such as pagination or time-based pagination and filtering and so on, which I mentioned previously about the charts and so on. All right, and this is mostly the technical stuff. So since the stack validation is constantly changing and the scale is growing, we are adjusting the visualization to gather or include more data sources from where we are taking the results and the information, so we can show as much information as possible. And also we are optimizing the data storage for the results, which includes the database changes and caching, so we can provide a good user experience. And that was the last slide. Thank you, and we are happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Just before questions, there's a remark I have to say about the UI. It's for customers to be able to see what we do in a release, but it's also really useful for us engineers working on the release to be able to pinpoint like every failure up to a specific, element failing and see easily how it progresses when we do fixes. So it's also why we want to have even more details in that UI.